Hey gardeners, if you're dreaming of growing your own fresh, crunchy cucumbers right at home, even if you've never gardened before, you're in the right place. I'm going to walk you through some of my favorite tips to help you grow cucumbers at home for the very first time. Whether you've got raised beds, large containers, or a sunny balcony, you can totally do this. Let's dig in. I'm Mylan Turner, and this is my gardening channel, ATL Grow. I'm an urban gardener located in Atlanta, Georgia, Zone 8A. I'm not an expert, but my goal is to help inspire you to grow your own food at home and to help guide you along the way. Tip number 1, cucumbers love heat and sunshine. Cucumbers are warm weather lovers. They need heat to thrive, so don't plant them too early. You want your overnight temps to be above 55 degrees consistently. For me here in Atlanta, that means I can direct sow seeds in the ground starting around the second week of April, and I can grow cucumbers through October. Those dates are going to be pretty consistent for other gardeners around the Southeast, but check your zone and your weather pattern to see your exact timing. When you plant your cucumbers, you want to plant them in an area that gets full sun. We're talking 8+ hours of sun a day. Not partial shade, not dappled, full sun. Cucumbers love sunlight. Tip number 2, choose the right spot and setup to grow your cucumbers. So let's talk where to grow them. Cucumbers do great in raised beds, such as this one behind me. You don't have to go quite as big as my raised beds. You can also use smaller elevated raised beds or large containers. Just make sure your soil capacity is 5 gallons or more. Regardless of what you're growing in, you want a loose, well-draining soil. Nothing that gets too compact or that gets waterlogged. For my raised beds, I grow in a mix called Soil Cube Veggie Mix. It's an organic compost humus blend. When growing in grow bags or smaller containers, I also use the veggie mix, but I'll cut that with potting mix just to improve drainage. Depending on the type of container that you use, such as self-watering containers, you may need to go straight comp. I'll drop an affiliate link for veggie mix down in the description below. If you don't have access to veggie mix in your area, make sure you use a high-quality potting mix. I recommend potting soil mixes that are a blend of peat moss or cocoa coir with compost and perlite or bark fines for drainage. Now, as far as setup goes, let's talk about your growing space. To save space in your garden, grow your cucumbers vertically. Cucumbers love to climb, and a simple trellis saves space, improves airflow, and keeps your fruit clean. Here in my raised bed, I have trellis netting hung from a frame. The cucumber plant has tendrils that will wrap around the trellis. Sometimes I find that they need a little help climbing the netting. To do this, I'll simply weave them in between the netting, or I'll use these plastic clips to support them. Once they start to climb, though, they typically do fine by themselves. In containers or smaller raised beds, you can install cages, and the cucumbers like to climb those as well. Tip number 3, pick the right variety. Cucumber varieties vary widely based on the shape, size, and what you want to use them for. If you want cucumbers for fresh eating, look for a slicer variety. Market More and Straight 8 are two of my favorites, and those are very similar to what you'll find in grocery stores. If you love pickles as much as we do, choose a pickling variety. The ones growing behind me are Hasenator pickles from Haas Tools. In one of my smaller raised beds, I have a mini gherkin. Those are great for pickling whole. If you're growing on your patio or other tight space, look for a bush variety. Two that come to mind right now are Space Master and the Bush Pickle. These varieties stay pretty compact and don't need a huge trellis. I recommend direct sowing cucumber seeds because they germinate really easily and you get nice, strong, healthy seedlings. But if direct sowing seeds and seed starting feels overwhelming to you, there's no shame in starting with seedlings from your local store. Just be sure to look for a nice, healthy plant start that doesn't have too much root development. If the roots are spiraling around the pot, stay away from those. They often result in stunted and slow-growing cucumber plants. Tip number 4 is about watering and feeding your cucumber plants. Water is a big deal when it comes to cucumber plants. They grow fast and get thirsty really quickly. So make sure you're watering deeply and consistently. That hasn't been much of a problem for me this season here in Atlanta because we've been getting tons of rain. But moving here into late June and early July, we've got a heat wave moving in, which means I need to start manually watering the garden. When you're manually watering your garden, you want to make sure that you're watering deep down into the roots. Shallow watering can lead to bitter or stunted fruit. Your cucumber plants are going to need 2 to 3 deep watering sessions a week, maybe more during the heat wave. It's best to water at the base of the plant and not on the leaves. That can help fight off some diseases. For my raised bed garden, I have drip irrigation installed, and I'll keep that running for about 40 minutes each session. If growing in grow bags, you're going to have to water a little bit more. For my smaller containers, I'm just manually watering with the watering can. I like to water it in a good bit and then wait 10 minutes and come back and repeat that. This ensures that the water is soaking deep down into those lower levels of soil, and that's what we want our roots to reach down to. So let's talk about feeding. I like to take a two-phase approach to fertilizing my plants. Before planting, I amend the soil with a slow-release organic granular fertilizer. I typically go for a blend with a wide variety of ingredients that are suitable for vegetable and herb gardening. Once my plants have started to flower and fruit, I like to incorporate some fast-release liquid organic fertilizer. One of my favorites is AgroThrive Vegetable Blend. The liquid fertilizer is fast-release, so it gets nutrients to the plants a little bit quicker when they're starting to fruit. Tip number 5 is to look out for pests and other common problems. Cucumber beetles, aphids, and spider mites can show up especially early in the season. You want to check under the leaves regularly. If you find pests, you can spray them off with water or an organic insecticidal soap. I often have a problem with these orange Asian beetles that have this really distinct pattern on them. They're not hard to find though because they're easy to spot and they start eating the leaves. Anytime I see the damage to the plants, I know the beetles are around. You really want to try to minimize their population though because they can spread disease between plants. Another common issue to look out for is powdery mildew. It looks like a white dusting of the leaves and it thrives in hot, humid weather. To try to prevent this, you want to keep your plants spaced out and water at the base to keep the leaves dry if you can. It can help to prune leaves that are below the fruit, and that'll keep your vines tidy and increase airflow. Tip 6 is the fun part, harvest time. Most slicing cucumbers are ready when they're around 6 to 8 inches long. Pickling cucumbers are going to be on the smaller side. You want to harvest them when they're about 4 to 6 inches long. If you want whole pickles, you want to make sure you pick those when they're small enough to fit in the jar. Regardless of the variety, don't let them stay on the vine too long. They'll get big, seedy, and bitter. They're really easy to harvest. I find that I can typically just twist them off the vine. If you're having problems though, use snips to cut them off and don't damage the vine. One really cool thing about cucumbers is the more you harvest, the more the plant produces. But the opposite is also true. If you leave a cucumber on too long and it gets big or turns yellow, it'll send a signal to the plant that it's time to terminate the plant. So regularly check your plant and make sure you don't do like I do sometimes and suffer from cucumber blindness. I'll be looking for the fruit and not be able to find them. And then the next day I'll find a monster that's just weighing down and taking way too many resources from the plant. One quick bonus tip, take good notes or use a garden journal. A couple things to make sure that you keep noted are the variety and when you plant it. That'll help you figure out the time and the maturity of your plants, and also when they start to get weak later in the season, you'll know if they need to be replaced or not. With the right sunlight, a little planning, and care, you can grow fresh, crisp cucumbers right at home, even if you've never gardened before. If this video helped you, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to continue to learn and grow with us. Drop a comment below to let me know which variety of cucumber you're adding to your garden. Also, drop any questions that you might have and I'll try to answer them in another video. Happy growing and I'll see you in the next one.